Hello, 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 and welcome. Come one and all, coming into the chat. This is the Brooklyn Baby Podcast with me, your host, Charlene Sabb. Hopefully, everyone has had a great week, and by the time this episode drops, we should all be enjoying the Labor Day weekend. Baby, I feel like this is supposed to be like the official last holiday of the summer. And I know me being a teacher, I really look forward to this break. Now, let me be clear. As of last summer of 2023, I converted to a track 4 year-round schedule. And I love that schedule as opposed to a traditional teaching schedule. I've been teaching for 17 years. And I love the schedule because I don't know if I mentioned this to you all before, but if I didn't, I'm going to say it now. Summer is not my season, baby. It is not my season. Never has, never will be. That would be me, does not like to sweat. And I just feel like, and it's gotten worse with age, going through life changes as a woman and just getting older. Like, my threshold for heat is no bueno, not good at all. So with that being said, with the track 4 year-round schedule that I'm currently on at my current school, it's like after every 45 school days, I get anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks off. Yes. And where are you going to find any schedule like that in the private working world, which I've been a part of before I was a teacher? So my point in saying that is to say, with the topic of today, handling job stress, that is one of the many ways I try to handle job stress. And that's what I told everyone when I decided to transfer to another school within my county. I said, I need breaks. And I said, I'd never had a year-round school schedule. And that's something that here where I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, they have certain schools, primarily elementary, several middle school, and one high school, which has like a modified year-round that offer year-round. And to my recollection, in New York City, where I'm from, I don't think any school has a year-round schedule. And I went to private school my whole entire life. I went to one from preschool to 5th grade and another one from 6th grade to 12th grade. So I'd never went to anything but private schools. And the only time I went to a public school was when I sent my son to one when we moved here to North Carolina, and then when I started teaching in one in 17 years ago. So my point in saying is to say, where I live here in Raleigh, North Carolina, we do have these year-round schools. They have different tracks, but the one I'm on is the best because, like I said, and after every 45 school days, you get anywhere from 3 weeks off to 5 weeks off, depending on the break. So let me break it down. So we start at the end of July, okay? And then the kids are in school like they currently are now, 45 school days, not including weekends. So they get their first, what we call a track out or break, the very end of September. That break lasts for slightly over 3 weeks, okay? And that also coincides with the end of each quarter. And I know me being a language arts teacher, it works out because we have 4 anchor units or anchor texts. So basically when we finish one of our novels or books, because one is a memoir, not necessarily a novel, that marks the end of the quarter. It marks the start of track out. And when we come back, we start a new book or anchor text, a new quarter, and then bam, and that's how it works. So then when we come back from our track out at the end of September and go back towards the latter part of October, again, 45 school days after that, then we have our Christmas winter holiday break. And that's a break that we get approximately 5.5 weeks off, because the traditional 3.5 weeks we get off, they tack on the Christmas holiday, and that's why that break is approximately 5.5 weeks. Come back from that, the end of January, then you start another 45 days of school days, and that is the start of what, quarter 3. And then we have another break at the end of March, and we don't go back until like the latter part of April. And that's our spring break. We're off for that another 3.5 weeks. Do 45 days, and then we finish school towards the end of June, and don't go back until the end of July. And that's roughly a 4.5 week break. So my point is, with this topic of today's podcast, handling job stress, that is how I partially handle my job stress. I said, I'm getting of a certain age. I said, I'm going to need breaks. And the traditional school schedule, in which the summer break is the lengthiest break, was no longer conducive for my needs, because it's just not. I said, especially my son is 32 now. He's been through the Wake County public school system here in North Carolina, which was great to him. Got him a scholarship to college for football, because there's so many academic and athletic opportunities down here, and football's a big sport. So because I didn't have to feel relegated or obligated to have like a traditional schedule to match his schedule, now that I'm an empty nester, I said, well, why not have a schedule that's year round? Because I don't need my schedule to coincide with my son Michael's traditional schedule. So that's one of the ways I handle stress. I just knew, spring of 2023, I said, you know what, I had a check of reality with my parents. Of course, this conversation took place before my mother passed. She passed this year. But I spoke with my mother, my father, my son separately, and spoke to myself. I said, you know what, I need to make a switch. I said, because this traditional school schedule, it's not what I want anymore. In addition to deciding to switch to a year-round school from a traditional school with the breaks, I try to walk or jog on a regular. I try, and I credit that because I know growing up, my dad used to jog around Prospect Park. Sometimes he would take me with him, and then sometimes we would even go out to Manhattan and walk or jog around Central Park. My dad was an avid jogger. He would jog with his buddies and former coworkers just about every day. And sometimes, like, I would join him by either walking with their children or riding our bikes. We'd bring our bikes, and I would ride bikes with his coworkers' children, or we would walk together, or sometimes we would join our dads and run. But my point is, my dad made it a point. After his job at the hospital, he would come home, change, and meet his buddies out there and jog. And whether his buddies can join him or not, he would make sure that he got his exercise on. So that was what I observed, and that became a part of me. And also, when I was in school, I just joined the basketball team. I joined the basketball team at my school. It was either 7th grade or 8th grade. Either way, I believe I joined the basketball team for the first time in 8th grade, 7th or 8th. I gotta check my yearbook. But I did it really because, I always loved basketball. But I just really did it to stay in shape, and to get to travel to other schools and play and stay fit and have fun with my friends. Because I sucked at basketball. Sucked. My sister, who's 10 years older than me, she was like the athlete, the superstar athlete. She was like great at softball, basketball, and volleyball. And she was the coach's pet at the private school we attended in Brooklyn. And she was phenomenal. But I'm not even going to lie to y'all, I was not great. I just wanted to be cute, travel with my little cutesy friends who also were playing. But we just did it just for something to do. And it let us travel to other schools within the city. It kept me in shape. I had the body growing up. So hey, it served a purpose like that, you know. Um, so to this day, I still like to have some kind of exercise. And my son, he's really into, even though he played football and basketball since he was 9, you know, he just, now that he has hung up the cleats, metaphorically speaking, and put the basketball away, he still religiously goes to the gym and keeps himself in shape. And he's now the person I look to for advice, and he's my motivation. When I was growing up, my dad was my motivation and my sister to stay fit and athletic, but now my son is, you know. So I just like to have some kind of exercise. Plus, another way I like to handle stress: talk, communicate. Like sometimes I can't stop communicating, and it's a great thing. It's like free therapy. I constantly, growing up, always talked about anything that was on my mind with my parents. Now my 32-year-old son, he's my confidant. Like morphed into me being his mom. In addition to being his mom, he's like my buddy, my friend. But still, we have that divide. He knows that our mama. He would never be disrespectful, but at the same time, it's like I raised a good friend now, because now he's of an age where we can have tangible, in-depth adult conversations about anything. So that's the plus. That's a wonderful thing, and I think I've alluded to in the past, we are going to have mother-son edition of the Brooklyn Baby podcast, in which you will get to hear Michael and hear what he has to say from a millennial male perspective about some of the topics that we have already addressed, or upcoming topics that maybe we have not addressed, and just hear a fresh, young insight. Because sometimes with that expression out of the mouth of babes, we learn so much from youth and people who are younger than us and millennials, and just sometimes they need a platform to speak their truth and to tell their narrative and give their insight and give their take on certain things. Another way I try to handle job stress, look, just try not to get involved in job mess. Because sometimes wherever you go, there's going to be someone trying to carry mess. There's a fine line between constructive job criticism and having certain concerns that are handled rightfully. And then there's certain people who just start mess, just starting shit wherever they go, mess, stirring the pot, being messy. There's a difference. So staying away from people who embody job mess, job gossip, shit stirs. That's just a major thing to avoid. That's a big thing to avoid with job stress. And I tell people, I'm not antisocial. I'm just socially selective. There's some people you already know what they're about, the energy, what they give off. Just note to self: stay away from that person. Note to self: other than saying hi and bye, boom, boom, boom. I tell people, look, I do my work to fidelity. I try to teach my children, teach them well at the school, and I go home. And unless it is a real special person that I meet at my job, I keep people at the job. Now, there are mitigating circumstances, because I'm going to be honest, my girl crew, that's been my crew even before I began teaching. I know when I first met them at a previous job before I was a teacher here in North Carolina, in Raleigh, I told my parents, I said, I don't like women. I don't rock with women, blah, blah, blah. They're so catty and messy and this, that, and the third. And God blessed me with a girl group, that I met. It was 3 of us. And from the 3 of us meeting at a job, 4 of us, 2 of the women of the group brought their sisters along, and now they're on, and that's my crew. And that's how I met them, just not looking for female friends, but approximately 25 years ago, 24 years ago, at a job I was working before I began teaching. They just were working at the same job, and we just bonded, and that having that friendship with those other women, that was a stress reliever too. When you find good people at your job who you can connect with and bond with, like I currently have certain people like at my school now, like a couple of them I co-teach with, some of them I don't, but if you find good people that you can connect with and be a soundboard, that is a wonderful stress reliever on the job that you can bounce ideas off of, close the door if you can, and have personal conversations, because talking is such a stress reliever. Like I said, it's like free therapy. That is another way I handle stress as well. Also, try to get a good night's rest, try to eat right, balance, and listen, I know people know me and I know myself. I love a good drink, but let's be honest, alcohol is a depressant. And sometimes in trying to relieve stress, turning to the bottle is not the answer. And I had to learn that the hard way myself. It's not the answer, especially when it's done in excess. You know, I can understand like every now and then going out, having a cocktail, but when it gets too extreme, it becomes a depressant. So I would just say just try to eat right, hydrate with water, get a good night's rest, discuss whatever's bothering you on the job, find ways to try to lessen the stress and ways to manage the stress. There's sometimes, even in my current profession, if I don't have a meeting or anything during planning, sometimes I might just go step outside and just get a breath of fresh air, or pick up maybe a snack or something from a local store, and then come right back before my kids come back from their electives class. You know, so they're just ways to try to lessen the stress. And just, like I said, communicate how you're feeling, let people know. And I also say if there's something that you can discuss with your superior, your boss, that maybe there's a mitigating circumstance going on that maybe he or she is not aware of. And if you can tell them in a nice, professional, non-accusatory or attacking manner, maybe one of those stressors can be erased. Because maybe boss man, boss lady don't even know what's going on. You know? So those are just some ways that I would tackle, or try to tackle, that I try to tackle stress on at work, because no one's here on this earth to be miserable. No job should cause you to feel. And I'm going to be honest now. If you're in a situation where it's like a pressure cooker, you know, and you feel like there's no option, and then at that point, yes, you may need to seek other employment, because there are some jobs out there that it's just like a human pressure cooker. You got so much negativity, toxicity, and if it's a situation like that and it's hard to overcome because people have different thresholds, then yeah, in a case like that, that's very mitigating. Yeah, a person may need to find other employment options. You know, because no one should be working anywhere where they feel like they're a whipping board, or being harassed or mistreated, or ruining your inner peace. Now that's a whole different situation. But if the stress can be managed, you know, think about some of the options that I mentioned, and try to find what works for you as well. You know, try to find what works well for you, because we all are individuals. Well, that's it for now. Until next time, people, enjoy this Labor Day holiday. Remember, don't stress, try to be blessed. And until next time, bye.